You don't need another idea. You've got plenty of those. What we're talking about today has opened doors for photographers and brought in more business than any ad that you could ever buy. And you know what? It just starts with a single conversation. Hey there, Lens Legends, and welcome to another episode of the Portrait Profit Show, where we focus on the business side of photography. I'm your host, Jim Landers, your guide on the business side, and it's my mission to uplift portrait photographers to make a great income doing what they love. Each week on the Portrait Profit Show, you get tips and systems on the business side of photography designed to help you gain a mastery over marketing and sales, reducing the struggles that most photographers face so you can finally get what you deserve. You are in the right place. Welcome to the Portrait Profit Show. The Portrait Profit Show is brought to you by Digital Pro Lab and Landers Photography School. For Digital Pro Lab, Amanda and her amazing, wonderful team are just going to make you look like a hero. And it's by default. It's because of the people that Amanda hires. She hires people who love what they do, career people, not someone who's here today, gone tomorrow, having to train everybody every 2 months to 6 months. Nope. She hires people who stick around because they love this stuff. And that's just makes it by default where they make you look good to your clients. They make it very easy to do business with as well. If you haven't printed or if you haven't printed lately, I encourage you to go to digitalprolab.com. Let me put that on the screen real quick. I'm sure you can just listen to it and write it down, but there it is on the screen, digitalprolab.com. And Amanda and her wonderful team are going to take care of you, make you look like a hero. Digitalprolab.com. This show is also sponsored by Landers Photography School. Let me put this on the screen. So it's landersphotoschool.com. But you know what? I want to give you a free session, a free private session with me. All you have to do is go to this link. It'll take you to my calendar, and you can choose the time that works best for you. And set yourself up for a fantastic 2026 by scheduling an appointment with me, and we'll talk about your goals, your direction, what you're trying to accomplish. Go to calendly.com/photo school /15min and that will take you to the calendar. You put yourself on my calendar. Take advantage of that. It's totally free. There's no sales going on during it. It's all about you. That's Landers Photography School. I encourage you as we go through this lesson today to make comments and ask questions as we go throughout this discussion. And speaking of comments, I want you to go to the comment section right now and enter in hashtag live. So I know you're watching us live here today on either Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn or YouTube. And for those who are watching the replay, please comment hashtag replay. That lets us know that you're watching the replay. It doesn't change anything. It's not like those who are watching live get a prize or something. No, they just hear the information first. I encourage you to watch it a second time, though. So you hit replay, even though you're watching it right now, when you watch it the second time around. I also request that you share the Portrait Profit Show. Just click that share button on several platforms like Facebook. All you do is click a share button, and you let other photographers know that this show exists. And as you hear things that you like or love or you think are funny, there's emojis for that. Click that like button. Click that love button. Let me know that you're here. Interact with me. Comment and hit like and love. This today is the second half of a two-part series titled Partner Powered Projects. In part one, we focused on how photography-driven projects can become powerful ways to form relationships with businesses that already serve people you want to photograph, or they're targeting the same market that you want to target, but they're not competitors. We talked about clarity, alignment, and mutual benefit. about defining what you want, identifying the right businesses, and seeing projects as tools for connection, not just promotion. Part two today is about what happens next. This is where preparation turns into conversation, how to make contact, what the meetings are really for, and how partnerships are formed through discovery, not persuasion. It's not sales. You'll actually be pleased at what it is we'll be talking about because it's easy. We'll also expand the framework because not every partnership begins with a photography project. In some situations, the strongest opportunity comes with aligning with the way a business already serves its clients. So let's move into the next chapter. We've already gone through in part one, chapters 1 through 4. We're going to go through chapters 5 through 9 today. So, chapter 5. I'll put that on the screen. This is called selling the alliance or partnership. You can use those interchangeably. I'd say alliance might be more formal and partnership might be less formal, but we're talking about the exact same thing. And because I'm talking about a system, I'm in this instance calling it an alliance. But either way, alliance, partnership, same thing. So far, we've been focused on forming relationships through specific photography-driven projects, such as mini sessions, gallery showings, personal projects, and cause-based collaborations. In each case, the relationship was built around a specific photography project that you were creating for them. Now, a personal project, you'd be creating it for you, but it would be for both. It would benefit both in that situation. This approach works extremely well in a lot of different situations. What's most important to understand is that when forming partnerships, you're not deciding ahead of time what all the options are going to be. You've got some ideas in your mind and you're going to share them, of course. But you don't choose a path first and then look for a situation to fit it. You define the situation, assess what's in front of you, and then choose the path that best fits that reality. We'll go into a lot more detail on that as we go through today's lesson. But that clarity is going to come through conversation with your potential partner. So as you meet with a potential partner, you begin to understand how they serve their clients, what it is that they value, and where a collaboration could make the most sense. Because of that, I want to introduce one additional option in this chapter that I have not talked about before. In some cases, instead of building the relationship around a specific photography project, it's more beneficial to build the relationship around the way a business already serves its clients. So as we move through this chapter, keep those project-based options in mind. They still apply. They remain valid and they are powerful tools. At the same time, understand that depending on the situation, there's another option available to you. This approach uses the same principles we've already covered: clarity, alignment, and mutual benefit. It simply applies them in a different format to accommodate situations where maybe project-based partnerships aren't the best starting point. They may be later down the line. So let's talk about the goal here. Once you've made your list of potential partners and you know who to contact and how to contact them, this is the point where preparation becomes action because you're reaching out to secure a brief meeting with them. You want to talk to them, share your ideas with them. This outreach step is not about selling your concept. It's not about persuasion. It's not about talking them into anything. It's simply about getting the meeting. So you're not going into details. You're using as few words as possible. And I'm going to give you some words that you can use here in just a little bit. The meeting is where you can listen, explain your idea clearly, and determine whether the relationship is the right fit for both of you. Knowing the purpose of this step and staying focused on it, well, that's often the difference between an awkward interaction and a confident connection. So let's talk about some ways that you could start that conversation with these potential partnerships. There are many. There's many ways to start the relationship. So you do what matches your personality and that particular situation. So you might make a phone call. You might just drop in and say, "Hey, are you busy?" Or you might send an email. You might send a letter, snail mail. All of these are good options. Okay, I'm looking at some of your comments. Thank you for commenting. By the way, if you haven't already, enter in hashtag live, letting me know that you're watching live. I can see that a lot of you have already done that. Appreciate that. So each method that you could use, they all have the same goal, and that's to open the door to a short meeting. So let's talk about what words you could use. And that's a question that people often ask me is like, I get it, but what do I say? What are the words that I use? So let me give you a sample alliance initial contact message. Now, this could be this. What I've written is ideal for email or a handwritten letter. So if you're going to do a letter, do it kind of formal. You start off with their business name, the contact's address, the city, state, zip. Now, you might not know who the contact is at that point. Chances are you do because you've done your research. You've figured out who it is. But in case you haven't, then you find another way to make sure it gets to the right person. Sometimes to whom it may concern is correct, but man, that is so impersonal. I really recommend that you find out who the right person is. But ideally you're saying the customer that contact person's name. The purpose of this letter is to secure a brief 15-minute meeting with you. I'm convinced that I can increase your customer loyalty and word of mouth advertising at absolutely no cost to you. I look forward to contacting you within the next few days to schedule a convenient time to meet and share my thoughts. So you're telling them that you're going to do something. Now, you may say, well, why don't I just reach out and do it? You can. But in doing it this way, what you've done is you set yourself up to keep your word, and people appreciate that, of course. And so you're saying, I'm going to do this in the next few days, and then you do it because it's part of the plan. But to them, you've kept your word. So you have the first thing you've done as you are talking with them for the first time is you've done what it is you said you would do. So those are the words you could use. I look forward to contacting you in the next few days to schedule a convenient time to meet and share my thoughts. Sincerely, your name, your contact information. There's an example. By the way, I have a handout for every single one of these shows that I do. If you want the handout for this show, it also includes templates. This is one template that I'm saying to you. The others I actually won't include because they're difficult to include in a live, but they will be included in the handout. And the way I do the handout is you enter in hashtag handout in the comments, or just send me an email. That might be easier for you. The email is jim@portraitprofits.com. Jim@portraitprofits.com. Now, I'll send you the handout with the templates, and uh, I'll send it with an invoice for $10. If you want to pay it, pay it. If you don't want to pay it, don't. If you forget to pay it, so what? I'm not doing this to make money. I'm not going to make money on $10. It costs me a lot more of my time than $10. But you will gain a lot more than $10 worth of information. In fact, if you do what it is that I'm talking about, if you implement the things we're talking about, this will be worth thousands every single month. So $10 is really nothing. But again, I'm not doing accounting for it. So if you pay for it, great. If you don't, great. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to check on it later. I want to get the information in your hands. So I want to point out about my letter. It was short, and it was intentionally short. It's designed to do one job, and that's just to get that brief meeting with them. Now, I want you to make it your own, of course. You're using my words as a model, as a guide, not as a script. Just make sure to keep the purpose intact. This is not the place to explain everything. Don't add more words. If you have to, then you have to, but try to keep that to a minimum. It's not the time to prove your value. Don't try to sell the idea just yet. You'll do that in person. A slight message about persistence and expectations. It does help if you have a warm lead, meaning someone who already knows you. Maybe you've already talked to them. They know you, they like you. A warm lead, yeah, it helps if it's a warm lead. But understand that it may take several attempts, even still, to get just one partnership. But once you start that relationship, you're going to gain a stream of steady clients as long as you nurture it. So treat these partnerships like gold. They are, in my opinion, more valuable than gold because they give you a steady stream of income. By the way, this is where photographers often get emotionally discouraged. They contact two or three businesses or individuals or organizations and they don't hear anything back. And so they decide, oh man, it doesn't work. If there's a problem there, it's not the approach. The problem is simply stopping too soon. People are busy. There are definitely times when you have thought, "Oh, that's a good idea. I want to do that." And you were busy with something else and you thought, "I'll get back to it." And you forgot. I mean, it's like putting a piece of paper on top of the stack of paper that you have on your desk. And then a few days later, there's a few more pieces of paper, and by the end of the month, it's gone. You don't see it anymore. It's just there in the stack. It means it's important that it made it to the stack, but you've got a lot of other things going on. So don't stop too soon. Successful photographers are the ones who stay organized, consistent, and who follow through and do exactly what they said they were going to do. They don't give up easily. So, what happens after someone says, "Yeah, let's do this. This sounds great. I really want to do this"? The goal of the meeting is to discover alignment. So once you've discovered or once you've secured that partnership, the work shifts into implementation. So let's let's say that you decided to form a relationship with a local car dealership. There's a lot of different businesses you can form a relationship with. I'm just pulling this one out because it's an example of another way of of partner powered projects. It's not one that I've discussed in the first four chapters. This is the new way that I was describing at the beginning of this lesson. So you have decided to form a relationship with a local car dealership, and you decided that the best path forward in this instance was to give the sales staff gift certificates that they could give to their clients who met whatever expectation you had. Let's say it's family portraits. So let's say you've chosen, and again, the choosing you do is based on that conversation you're having with them. So this is after that conversation, and I'm saying that this was the scenario that worked best for them and you. So maybe a free family portrait session where all they do is purchase the prints that they want to own. But the gift that you're giving to the dealership is the free family portrait session. Now, again, you're going to choose to do whatever it is that's ideal for you. I'm just using this as a potential example for a family portrait photographer. All they have to do is all when all they the dealership has to do is make sure that the salespeople have these to give to families after a sale, and they are giving this as a gift. It doesn't cost anyone anything. However, it does look from the person who bought the car's point of view that it was a gift purchased by the dealer. You aren't saying that; it just looks that way, and you think to stop it from looking that way because it's fine. It doesn't harm anything. In fact, it kind of makes them look good. But you are securing the alliance. You supply the dealer, or more specifically, your contact person, with printed material for them to distribute to the people who buy cars, their clients. And you make sure that you understand that this must be seen as a gift from that salesperson or from the dealership, not from you. And yes, I do have a template for this. It's something I can't describe. So you get it if you get the handout. So that's where you'll get more information on that. But understand that this is a positioning decision. It protects the partner's relationship with their clients and it strengthens the trust transfer back to you. Let's talk about the printed material and how it should look. You're going to use their logo on there on what you're going to give them. Let's say it's a folding card where you print them on a color printer or you send them to Digital Pro Lab for printing. But make sure you initial and date them, because if you're going to make a card that's the same for everyone, then add something else on there. So it could be initials, it could be a date, it could be a number, a numbering system where you start off at 0001, and but you've got this change to it, something that makes it where you can identify what it is and they can identify. Again, more information in the templates. But this adds a personal touch. The expiration date is a call to action. This, for your information, FYI, if this seems to be a point the alliance has a problem with, then tell them that you never enforce that expiration date. I haven't had that problem, but I have had others tell me that that was a problem that their alliance partner had, was the expiration date. So I would tell them I'm not enforcing it. But my goal is to get people to act now, because again, it's like that piece of paper that winds up in the stack. You forget about it. So if you do something now, you're obviously remembering. But if you wait too long, you're going to forget it. If you ever had a gift card given to you as a gift for a birthday or Christmas, and a year later you found it, yeah, I have. Maybe you've never done that. Maybe that's just me. Um, I, I I don't want that to happen. So I want there to be a deadline. I want there to be something that causes them to act on it now. So make sure the cards are clear on that. Make sure they're not transferable. I don't want them handing it to someone else, because I want that relationship to be formed with the client of my partner, not someone else. We've had people try that. You are solving three problems once you're here. So professional presentation, urgency, and protection against misuse. Something that I do recommend though is, and I mentioned it before, I'm going to mention it one more time, using press printed cards from Digital Pro Lab. You could also do a simple PDF certificate where you send that to them, they print it off themselves, or a QR code to a landing page. Just make sure the partner branding is there. And remember that this is a gift from your partner to their client. So make sure it looks like that. What you give away and what you don't give away. These are my opinions. You do what's right for you. So I might give away the creation fee and sometimes one print up to 11 by 14. And I'll use those words, one print up to an 11 by 14. I don't suggest free 8 by 10s. New studios do that. Department stores do that. In fact, they've been using the free 8 by 10 method for over 100 years. So we don't want to be associated with old or low priced competitors. So choose something different. Make sure the certificate is good in studio only or within a specific area if you don't have a studio, which most don't. But some people may live over an hour away. So if you want to accommodate them, make sure you've got some amount that you add to it, $100 or whatever is appropriate if you're going to go all the way out to them. If they're coming to you, well, again, you would be in a specific area. You just want to accommodate that just in case, because, for instance, a car dealership, people come from more than an hour drive sometimes. So we need to accommodate things like that if we're going to do that. We don't have to. We can make one of our requirements to the partner that they have to be within a certain range in order to qualify. It's totally up to you. You're going to write this down and think it through, but this is something you will include. This is brand positioning. You're protecting perceived value and avoiding association with low price competitors. You're also protecting your time and profitability by keeping the offer structured and controlled. Let's talk about the sales reality of these sessions. Um, that's one of the things that people ask a lot of times. Free session? Really? They're not going to buy anything. Well, they're not getting anything other than whatever it is you've included. So therefore, if they want something, they're going to have to get it. Well, if they get one print, well, maybe that's all they want. Okay. So what can you expect for these sales sessions? Here's a good guide for any type of promotion like this. When you do a free session and a print, at least a third will buy nothing. Nothing. That sounds like a lot. Another third will buy at or maybe slightly below your average sale. And as much as a third and at least 20% will buy big. So don't let yourself be bothered if a session doesn't make a purchase. Just move on. It's percentages, it's numbers game. Besides, you're going to create a good relationship with your alliance and they will continue working with you even still. So it doesn't matter whether they buy or not. The numbers are there. It makes sense. You're still going to make money overall. You're going to do actually very well overall. Even if you just did just this one, didn't even include the other types of projects that we've already talked about. Treat all of those clients the same, whether they bought nothing or whether they bought big, equal. Plus, you want good reports going back to your partner. This is critical mindset protection for photographers who take things personally. You are better served by thinking statistically and professionally and being consistent in how you treat people. And you know this. All right, let's talk about product guidance and maybe some upgrades. In my humble opinion, 11 by 14s are the most useless size there is. They're really too small for most walls, at least as a standalone image. They look fine in a grouping. But they're also too big for being on a desk or an end table. So 16 by 20s are considered the smallest of the wall portrait category, the standalone wall portrait category. And as far as on a desk, 8 by 10 is considered the largest. And so 11 by 14 really doesn't have a place. And so 11 by 14 up to 11 by 14 is, I set that on purpose, knowing this. So during the design consultation, we tell clients that at the projection session, not everybody projects, we project, but we will credit them 100% of the difference if they upgrade to a larger print. And so whatever the cost of the 11 by 14 is right now, and it goes up regularly, but whatever that cost is now, if they want the next one up or 2 sizes or 3 sizes up, we'll credit the difference, whatever that price would have been. Now you may think, well, they didn't pay anything. I'm still making a profit, guys, because they're paying the difference. They're still paying something for that print that they're ordering. And by the way, most do upgrade to a larger print. And so you do make money with this. Do not credit for other things, though. Don't credit towards a package of prints, only a bigger size. What happens if someone, though, says, I want 2 5 by 7s instead of the 1 11 by 14? What do you think about that? No. The deal is for one print. And I will print that one print as large as a 11 by 14, but it's one print. You can do a 4 by 6, you can do a 5 by 7, you can do an 8 by 10, but the largest I'll print that one print is 11 by 14. That's the deal. It's one print. So one print is free. And you may purchase as many more as you like. This protects your pricing and keeps the offer from being reinterpreted. It also turns the offer into a natural upgrade conversation that helps clients end up with with whatever it is that works best in their situation. Let's talk about strengthening the alliance with client thank you notes. Again, this is an example of where I have a template. Here's something else you'll want to do, especially when you just start with a new partnership. Make a few note cards with a favorite photograph from the session. Take one of the envelopes, address it to the alliance company, and add a stamp. And you bring that to the client and ask if they wouldn't mind telling the whatever the name of your partner is, what a great experience they had at your studio. You bring that card to them, or postcard or folded card, whatever it is that you choose to do. You have them write in their testimonial effectively and then put it in the envelope and say, you know what, I'll put that in the mail for you. You take care of everything, because they'll forget. This isn't something to do all the time. They will forget. So just do it for them. Do all of this in front of them. That way you can put that letter in the mail yourself. That ensures that the partner gets it. This is one of the strongest relationship builders in your entire alliance system, because it sends appreciation back to the partner in a way that is real, visible, and emotionally meaningful. They don't get a lot of thank you cards, but they're going to get a lot from you, which will in turn make them want to continue to send you clients. Now, let me talk about some action steps before I move on to the next chapter. Choose 3 potential partners. You're going to make a list. You already did this if you were listening to the previous steps in part 1. You've already made a list of potential partners. I want you to choose 3. 3 that target the same people that you want to reach. Second is identify who to contact at each one of those businesses. Now, if you're only choosing 3, chances are you already know who those 3 contacts are, because you're going to choose from the lowest hanging fruit. All right. If not, then identify who those people are. Number 3, reach out. And you could do this in person, via a phone call, a letter, an email, whatever it is. Follow up in the next few days, exactly as your letter states, your words state that you will. And then track every contact attempt so that you stay consistent and you're not relying on your memory. Not because you don't have a good memory. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But you've got a million things going on. So don't rely on that. Use a method of, and you get to choose how to do this, of tracking this. All right, next section is the meeting itself. This is where alignment is discovered and partnership is formed. Up to this point, everything that you've done has been about preparation. You clarified the kinds of projects that you can support, that can support your partnerships. You've identified businesses that already serve the people you want to reach. You've defined benefits, responsibilities, timelines. And in the previous chapter, you took the step that moves everything forward. You reached out to secure that meeting where you have an opportunity to talk about your idea. This chapter is about what that meeting is for. Many photographers walk into these conversations with the wrong internal pressure. We all have internal pressure. But sometimes, and internal pressure is not necessarily a negative thing. It feels like a negative thing, and absolutely feels that way. But some have the wrong internal pressure. They feel like the meeting is a performance. It's a test. It's a moment that they need to prove something. That mindset turns what should be a calm, interested conversation into something that feels awkward or forced. The purpose of the meeting is not to convince them of your value. It's not even to persuade them on your idea. The purpose of the meeting is to discover, it's just discovery. The purpose is discovery. And then alignment. This is where you define the situation together. You assess what's possible and determine whether there is real alignment between your business and theirs. It's where you can learn how they serve their clients, what they value, and where a collaboration might naturally fit. When alignment exists, the partnership forms with far less resistance than most photographers expect before they start. This feels hard. Once you do it, you'll think, why did I ever feel that way? this was so easy. And when it doesn't seem to be a fit, because sometimes it's a no, you get to walk away with clarity. This is a positive thing. Either outcome is productive. A yes or a no is productive. Otherwise, it's limbo. And we do not want limbo in any way, shape, or form when we're talking about business. We don't want it actually, period. We want a yes or a no. Let's talk about that meeting a little bit more. The most important shift to make before you ever walk into this meeting is mental. You're not asking for permission. You're not asking for a gift, you're not asking them for anything. Although I have seen photographers do that, where they're asking for a favor. If that's your mindset, I'm telling you, you're doing it wrong. This is not that at all. You're not trying to earn the right to be there. You're simply exploring whether the work you do and the way that they serve their clients can support one another in a meaningful way. When you approach the meeting from that mindset, your tone changes, your posture changes. The conversation becomes collaborative, not transactional. Let's talk about what it is you're going to be listening for. As the discussion unfolds, your primary job is not to talk more, it's to listen well. And understand that to listen means to listen with the intent to understand. You're not listening if you do not have the intent to understand it from their point of view. That's the problem with most relationships. I mean, look at politics or the relationship you have with your significant other. Do you listen to the other side with the intent to understand? We know that's not happening in politics. People have blinders on in that category. But if they're doing that in their relationships, they're ruining their relationships. So are you listening with the intent to understand or with the intent to just respond or to find fault? When meeting with potential partners, pay attention to how they describe their clients. Notice what they emphasize when they talk about their business. Do they light up when they talk about client relationships? Or do they focus really on volume and transactions? Do they already have systems in place for thanking, for recognizing, or rewarding their clients? Is that something they even have the slightest interest in? As that conversation unfolds, you're paying attention to a few specific things: how they serve their clients, what they value most in their business, how they currently recognize, reward, or thank their clients, where they feel limited, stretched, or uninspired, how they talk about their clients when no one is selling them anything. These details reveal whether a project-based partnership makes sense or an ongoing partnership built into their client workflow may be a better fit. This is where your earlier preparation pays off because you understand multiple paths forward. You're not forcing them into one idea for every single situation. You're choosing the path that fits the reality in front of you, in front of both of you. This meeting is where the best path forward just becomes clear. Let's talk about how to present the idea without over presenting the idea. When it's time to explain your idea, keep it simple. It's not some sales pitch, it's a clear explanation built on the work you already did in chapter 4. You know the purpose, you know the benefit for them and their clients, you know what you'll handle and what you're asking of them. So you've got to communicate that clearly and then stop talking. If you find yourself over explaining, if you find yourself defending the idea or maybe filling silence out of discomfort. I want you to pause. Those aren't beneficial ways of reacting. Silence is better than those. Those moments when you're over explaining, defending your idea, filling silence out of discomfort, those moments often signal that alignment isn't fully there yet. It doesn't mean that it won't come, it just means that it's not there yet. And so pushing harder doesn't fix that. One of the most powerful moments in this meeting comes when you turn the conversation outward and you ask how they see it fitting with their clients. Chances are they're just going to volunteer that information. But when you invite their perspective, something important happens. The idea stops being yours alone and starts becoming shared. Often, the strongest version of the partnership doesn't look exactly like what you planned going in. And don't consider that a failure of preparation. That's preparation doing what it's supposed to do. The partnership evolves during the conversation. It's supposed to. When alignment is present, it usually looks, feels, and sounds natural. They begin talking about specific clients who would love this. They start imagining how they might introduce it. They talk about the timing, the logistics, or the rollout without you even having to tell them or ask them about it. These are signs you're building something together. You're not pushing something uphill. And sometimes the answer is simply no. That doesn't mean the idea was wrong, bad. It doesn't mean you did anything poorly. It means the situation didn't support alignment. No problem. This is why your process matters so much. You're not collecting a rejection, you're gathering information. Each meeting sharpens your understanding of where your time and energy belong. When you do reach alignment, don't leave the meeting too vague. Before you part ways, confirm the general structure of the partnership. What happens next? Who's responsible for what next steps? You're not locking everything in, you're setting direction. The meeting completes the transition from planning into partnership. You're no longer working in theory or assumption, you're working in conversation, clarity, and connection. In the next chapter, the focus is going to shift again because once the partnership is formed, the work becomes implementation. This is where timelines, communication, promotion, and follow through come together to turn a good idea into a successful partnership that actually produces results. It's a win-win for both parties. You know what? When you're doing this, you're no longer waiting for opportunities to appear, waiting for the phone to ring, waiting for a web form to be filled out, waiting for an email, waiting for a text. You're not waiting anymore. You're creating opportunities. Man, those of you who implement this, I know it seems like a lot. I know, because it seemed like a lot when I first heard of it many years ago. It is not difficult. In fact, it's probably one of the easier ways of marketing. Maybe the easiest. Yeah, that's hard to imagine, but it is. Not sure, just buying a quick ad, using something you already have might be the quickest. But if you've bought ads, print ads, social media ads, if you haven't put a lot of time and effort into that and plan that out over a good amount of time, chances are you're not going to get any sales out of it. With this, you do. Let me give you some action steps for this chapter. Before each meeting, remind yourself of the objective. You're not going in to sell an idea. You're not going in to prove your value. You're going to discover where alignment exists. That single shift will change how the conversation unfolds. And that's all it is a conversation about them and their business. Go into the meeting prepared, just not rigid. Review the work you completed earlier, the purpose of the potential partnership, the benefits of both sides, the basic structure that you are envisioning at this point, knowing that it could change. Then be willing to let the final form evolve based on the conversation you have. During the meeting, focus more on listening than talking. Pay attention to how the business describes its clients, what it values, and how it currently serves the people it works with. Those details are going to tell you whether a project-based partnership or an ongoing partnership makes sense. Because sometimes it will, and sometimes it won't. But it'll be obvious. You'll know. You won't need me being there to tell you. It'll be obvious. When you describe your idea to your potential partner, keep it simple and clear. Explain the concept and then stop. Let them respond. If you feel the urge to over-explain, pause and let the conversation breathe. Silence often reveals more than whatever words you were going to use. Invite the partner into the process by asking how they see the idea fitting in with their clients. Allow their feedback to shape the final direction. The strongest partnerships are co-created. They aren't presented fully formed. Before leaving the meeting, confirm the next steps. Clarify what happens next, who's responsible for each of the things that are happening next, and when you're going to reconnect. Direction is more important than details at this stage. After the meeting, document what you learned. Whether the answer was yes or no, write down what the conversation revealed about the situation, the fit, the path forward. This turns every meeting into progress and keeps you from repeating mistakes, which we photographers are not real good about doing. So I'm helping you there. Let's move on to chapter 7. By the way, you feeling this? Is this something that you can do? Maybe you need a little bit of help with it. I'm here to help you out with that. But if this is sounding good, that so far that this is something that you could do, just give me a yes in the comments. And by the way, if you haven't already, enter in hashtag live. I can see a lot of you have already done that, and I sure do appreciate you doing that. I sometimes do call outs, but I've got so much information. I know I'm not going to finish on time, so I'm not going to do the call outs this time. But just know that I appreciate you being here. And if you want today's handout with the templates, enter in hashtag handout or send me an email, jim@portraitprofits.com, jim@portraitprofits.com. Oh, where'd it go? There it is. Once the meeting's over and the alignment has been established, you're going to work with each other. The nature of the work obviously is changing. So up to this point, the focus has been on clarity, conversation, decision making, and that really never stops. But now the focus shifts to the implementation, or you may say the execution. This is where many partnerships quietly fail or somehow fade away. Not because the idea was weak, not because the partner wasn't enthusiastic, but because the follow through was unclear. The next steps were unclear or inconsistent or incomplete. Strong partnerships don't succeed on enthusiasm alone. In fact, nothing does because enthusiasm fades. They succeed because someone takes responsibility for turning intention into action. You know how sometimes you think, someone should fill in the blank. Well, in this relationship, that's you. You're the someone who should. That doesn't mean you're doing everything yourself. It means you're guiding the process. The moment a partnership is formed, your role becomes organizer, communicator, and steady point of contact. The more clearly you step into that role, the easier it becomes for the partner to participate confidently. The first priority is direction. So after the meeting, this the momentum matters. There's momentum. There's a lot of momentum right at first, but a simple follow-up message that confirms what was discussed, outlines the next steps, and reiterates responsibilities does more than keep things moving. It reinforces professionalism. It reassures the partner that they've made the right decision, and it prevents misunderstandings before they ever form. By the way, I record these on my phone with an app called Hedy AI, Hedy.ai. It records and then sends me a summary of what was said. And if I said I was going to do something, it gives me action steps of those things because I will forget some things. It doesn't. It gives me a list of all the things I said I was going to do. So Hedy.ai, Hedy.ai. Let's talk about reduce complexity and removing friction. Clear timelines are one of the most important tools you'll have at this stage of the process. Partners do not need every detail finalized immediately, but they do need to understand what happens next and when things are happening. When dates, responsibilities, and expectations are visible, participation becomes easy. When they are vague, enthusiasm's going to fade. As you move into implementation, remember that your partner is not thinking about this project the same way you are. You had a good meeting, they're enthusiastic, you think you're on the same page, and for the most part you are, but they are not thinking about it the same way you are. It's not their primary focus. They've got a lot of other things going on that are competing for their attention. Your job is to make their involvement feel simple, feel organized, and worthwhile. That includes how you communicate. Consistent, calm communication builds trust. Let your partner know when things are happening, when they will hear from you next, and what you need from them, if anything. Silence creates uncertainty once this relationship has been formed. Overcommunication, though, creates fatigue. So we do have to give it just the right amount. Bottom line, though, is this clarity creates confidence. Whether this partnership is built around a project or integrated into the way they do business that already serves its clients, promotion should feel natural, not forced. Your partner should never feel like they're selling your work. They're selling photography. That's not what they're doing. They're offering something meaningful to their clients. When that positioning is clear, it feels generous. It doesn't feel like a transaction. It doesn't feel like they're a salesperson for you. It can't feel that way. This is also where your earlier work pays off because you define the benefits clearly. You already know how to frame the message because you clarified the responsibilities. You know what the partner is responsible for sharing and what you are handling because you prepared the materials in advance. You can support promotion without adding stress. As the partnership moves forward, pay attention to how it feels. Well-aligned partnerships tend to create momentum. Communication flows easily. Questions are reasonable. Adjustments are collaborative. When friction appears repeatedly, it's worth slowing down and assessing whether expectations are drifting or whether something needs to be clarified. Just understand, and I think you do because you've probably heard me say this or something similar a million times. Implementation is not about perfection. We want to have imperfect action. If it's perfect, you waited too long. But I want you to think about this slightly differently because this is about stewardship. You're stewarding the relationship, the experience for the clients, and your own reputation in the community. When you approach implementation from that perspective, decisions become easier. You choose clarity over speed, consistency over urgency, and professionalism over shortcuts. As the project unfolds or the partnership becomes active, document the things that are happening. Take notes, track participation, observe what resonates with the clients, and what's not resonating with them, because this information becomes invaluable later, not just for improving this partnership, but for strengthening future partnerships. The goal is to build a system that allows partnerships to work again and again. This system begins here. It's how you show up. In the next chapter, I'm going to talk about what happens after the partnership is active, how to report results, how to nurture the relationship over time, and how to turn one successful partnership into many without having to start from scratch each time. Does that sound like fun? If it does, let me know in the comments. Tell me where you are. Tell me where your head is. And remember, let me remind you one more time, use a phone app like Hedy AI, Hedy. And that records the conversation and it helps you remember what you said you were going to do. You do not want to get into a situation where you said you were going to do something and then totally forget to do it. It happens, yes, but we want to reduce that potential. And using Hedy AI really reduces that potential because it's sharing, it's telling you. You'd have to not read it in order to forget. That's what it is. All right. Chapter 8 of 9, 2 chapters to go. Once a partnership is active, it is tempting to mentally move on to the next idea. These sessions are happening. The materials are being used. The clients are responding. From the outside, it looks like the work's done. It's not. There's a lot of nurturing involved. This is where some of the most important work begins. Partnerships do not become valuable by accident. They do not remain valuable unless they're intentionally nurtured. What you do after the project launches or after the partnership becomes active determines whether this relationship remains a one-time effort or turns into a long-term asset for your business and for theirs. This is about perspective because even if you are no longer focused on the project itself, you are focused on the relationship behind the project. That means paying attention to outcomes, communication, and appreciation in ways that go beyond immediate results. Businesses rarely remember exact numbers. They remember how working with you felt. They remember whether their clients were happy. They, and whether the partnership reflected well on them. This is where your tracking and reporting becomes powerful. Sharing results is not about proving your worth, it's about closing the loop. Letting your partner see how the collaboration served their clients, reinforced their brand, and created positive experiences. That might include participation numbers, general feedback from clients, or even simple observations about what resonated most. So keep your reporting clear and easy to digest. One page is often enough. The goal isn't analysis, the goal is reassurance. I want to talk about appreciation. Just a moment. A handwritten note, a personal message, a small gesture of recognition. These reinforce something important, that you value the relationship, not just the outcome. This aligns perfectly with what you've already built into the system through client thank you notes. As time goes on, strong partnerships tend to reveal new opportunities. A project that worked well once may be repeated. An ongoing partnership may expand into another department, another location, another audience. Or a successful collaboration may naturally lead to introductions to other businesses who are serving the same clients. So, therefore, we want to talk about compounding the momentum. When a partner is pleased with the relationship, they often become your advocate without even being asked. They mention you to colleagues. They share your work more confidently. They're open to future ideas that you have, and because the trust has already been established. At this stage, your role is not a push for more, it's to remain present. People have so much going on that it's easy to forget things, easy to forget people, easy to forget relationships. So check in periodically. Ask how things are going. Get to know them, their family. Share ideas only when they genuinely add value because strong relationships, strong partnerships grow because both sides feel supported. Now, as you're going through this relationship, I want you to watch for patterns. You'll notice which types of partnerships produce the best relationships, the most enjoyable work, the most sustainable results. Now, you might think, well, why don't you just tell me? Because it's different for everybody. You're different than me. I can tell you what the patterns were for me, but I need for you to discover what the patterns are for you because those patterns help you refine your focus on what works best for you and them. And it does change slightly between you and other partners. There's a lot of overlap though because it's you as the bottom line. You stop chasing every opportunity and you start investing in the ones that align best with your vision, with your ideal life, with keeping your creative energy tank full. This is how partnership based marketing becomes an effective system. You are no longer starting from scratch with with each new relationship. You're building an ecosystem where trust, credibility, and connection do much of the work for you. And this is something, well, this is where something important happens. Marketing begins to feel lighter. Outreach becomes easier. Visibility grows without constant effort, not because you're working harder, but because you are working within a network of relationships that support what you do. This is a huge power of partner powered projects. In the final chapter, we'll review the full process, clarifying how to choose the right path moving forward and help you see how this approach fits into a larger, sustainable business strategy. I'm going to fast forward through a couple of things here. There we go. So, this is choosing the right path. I know you're not going to remember every single step that I've talked about, but as long as you have the gist, the general understanding, the goal is to know how to move forward from here without confusion or hesitation. One of the reasons photographers struggle is not a lack of information or a lack of opportunity. And it's not that they take action too quickly. That's not most photographers' problem. It's that they take action without first orienting themselves to the situation that they're in. When that happens, even the right actions can lead to frustration because the action wasn't guided by context. Context matters. You know it. The only time it doesn't matter is when you're against something. But even then, it matters. It just doesn't matter to you. The strength of partner powered projects is that they give you a way to decide what makes sense based on the variables and considerations in front of you. Sometimes the situation supports a photography driven project, a mini session, a gallery showing, a personal project, a cause based collaboration. That may be the most natural way to form a connection and create visibility. But in other situations, a project is not the right thing right now. At least, it may be later, but it may not be the right starting point. So maybe building a relationship around the way a business already serves its clients may create a stronger and more sustainable partnership. You define the situation. You assess what's available. And then you choose the path that fits what you now understand after listening to your potential partner. It helps you avoid spending time and energy on ideas that are good, but not right for the situation. There are a lot of good ideas. I put good ideas in the bad category, though, because let's just say it's roads. There's a lot of good roads, but you are smart enough to know not to take all of them. You've got to figure out the right path based on where you're going. And if you don't know where you're going, you can't tell the difference between good and right. This allows your partnerships to be formed based on alignment instead of guessing, instead of assumption. Over time, this approach brings consistency because your decision making stays grounded. You become clear about where your effort belongs. You recognize alignment sooner. You recognize how to move forward with fewer false starts. This isn't about motivation or momentum, it's about steadiness. When you trust your ability to define the situation and gather information and choose the right path, you stop feeling rushed to act or you start feeling prepared to act well. Let me give you some closing thoughts. Lens Legends, by the way, if this is the first time you've ever watched a show, that's you. That's people who watch the show. You are Lens Legends. As we wrap this up, I want to take a breath and notice something important. You've just been exposed to a way of thinking that most photographers never slow down enough to consider. Not as a tactic, not as a checklist, but as a different way to look at how opportunities are created and sustained. This method could possibly be your only method of marketing because it is sustainable. It lasts. It has huge amount of potential when done correctly. This lesson has been about expanding what's possible. You've seen how a project can become more powerful when it's connected to the right people. You've also seen that sometimes the opportunity isn't in creating something new, but in aligning with the way a business already serves the people you care about photographing. None of what I've shared in this lesson are rules. They're choices, they're options that are enhancing your confidence. And you don't need to act on everything that I've mentioned right away. You you don't even need to have it all mapped out. One thoughtful step forward is enough for right now. You'll take care of it as you go. And if you need extra help, guess what I'm here for? That's what I'm here for. So that might be one conversation you wouldn't have considered before. One meeting that gives you clarity. One idea you decide to explore instead of dismiss. When you move this way, momentum builds naturally, not because every step works perfectly, but because you're paying attention, learning as you go, adjusting with purpose, with direction. That's how uncertainty just loses its grip and how confidence grows. And that's how opportunities begin to appear where you didn't see them before. You've got options. Now you get to decide what to do with them. Define the situation. Have the conversation. Choose the path that fits what you know. And then take the next step. You're ready. As you know, the Portrait Profit Show happens every single week. So I want to tell you about next week's show. Next week, we're going to be talking about 5 strategies for explosive growth in 2026. Let me put that on the screen, the date on the screen. There it is. By the way, this is next week is my 250th episode of the Portrait Profit Show. 250. I'm hoping you're thinking, I can't believe it, because I certainly am thinking that. But this episode number 250 is the final show for 2025. There are 2 more Mondays left in the month, but there's only one of them I'm going to be doing the show. I might do a rerun on that last Monday, but this coming Monday is the last live show for the year. With new technology, with evolving trends and an audience more eager than ever for authentic connection, well, there's never been a better time to scale your photography business. Right now, photography business is great. Is it for everyone? No, because you aren't implementing the things that I'm sharing with you. But it is great. if you do these things. So, we're going to uncover the top 5 cutting edge strategies that make 2026 the perfect moment to take your business further than you've ever imagined. Yeah. December 22nd at noon, 5 strategies for explosive growth in 2026. Thank you, Lens Legends, for joining me today. If something in this lesson helped you see new possibilities, whether that's a project you want to move forward with, a conversation you're ready to have, a clear way to think about partnerships, I encourage you to take one small step and act on it. You don't need to do everything at once. Momentum is built one intentional decision at a time. And today, you added clarity to how opportunities can be created through connection, preparation, and follow through. If you want to take advantage of my 15-minute private session, I'll put that on the screen one more time. Make sure to go to that URL and put yourself on my calendar. And if this episode was helpful, please take a moment and click that like button, click that love button, or even make a comment in the comments section. And it could be as simple as, "Thanks, Jim. This is great. I love that stuff." So yeah, tell me what you're thinking. And of course, share the Portrait Profit Show with another photographer who could benefit from hearing this. That simple action helps this message reach other photographers who are still searching for direction. We want to lift everyone up. You do too. It's to everyone's benefit. With parts 1 and 2 of partner-powered projects complete, you now have a full framework that you can return to anytime you're considering a new project, a new relationship, or a new direction for your business. So as we end another show, I hope the ideas that we have explored today have resonated with you and that you're able to move forward with confidence. You know, the world is waiting for your unique vision and your ability to touch lives through portraiture. I want you to trust your talent. I want you to believe the impact that you make and let your light shine brightly. Seize today as an opportunity to let your passion soar, making the world a more beautiful place, one portrait at a time. Thank you, Lens Legends, for your time and attention here today. And thank you for the efforts that you make every single day to be such an amazing photographer. You know what? Together, we help each other achieve our goals and make a difference in the world through our passion for portrait photography. For Landers Photography School and for Digital Pro Lab, I'm bringing you the weekly Portrait Profit Show. Until I see you next week, Lens Legends, keep thriving, keep growing, and I look forward to watching you grow. You guys are awesome. I appreciate you. Bye for now.